It's Thursday afternoon, which means it's time for an All49ers Roundtable. I'm quality control coach Grant Cohn. That's Jose Sanchez, Maverick Pallack, and Jack Hammer. We got a lot of Matthew Stafford to discuss today, but other things to talk about as well. Things are fluid. Things will be happening quickly, so we want to hit on the Matthew Stafford stuff before the picture completely changes. So let's get right into it. If the Niners are working out details with Matthew Stafford right now, what's the most the Niners should trade for him?
Well, I got the Aloha Blue on here for Stafford for that because I want to see him come to the 49ers. I would say the most that they should give up for him would be a one and a two, but not in the same draft. Maybe go, if they can get away with the 2 this year, go 2 this year and a 1 next year. That's going to be the best for the 49ers. Otherwise, they might, we're going to get into this a little bit later, but it might require them to do a first this year and give up their second next. That's about the range that I would like to see them go.
I've been seeing a lot how essentially it is a first-round pick, at least on Twitter. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about that, and I think they're going to have a lot of competition. So for me, I might value Stafford higher than most people, but I think it at the minimum would be that first-round pick, that 12th overall, and they might have to include a second or 2. And if the bidding really comes high, who knows what Indianapolis, Washington can do? It might get even pricier than that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the first-round pick for sure. It's going to take that 12th pick. And the 49ers have a large advantage. Even if the Colts want to get in, which pretty much is the only team that's essentially going to be knocking on the door for the Lions saying, let's staff for free. We need him. Get us another old quarterback. But I think the 49ers, because of that 12, just that 3 spots, even.
Uh-oh. Is that me or is that him?
I'm still live. Are you live?
Oh, I'm still good. Yeah, Jose, he was really about to make a great point too. Man, that's too bad.
He always makes fun of Leo, and then
he's back. He's back. All right, try again.
Anyways, yeah. So yeah,
stop stealing Leo's Wi-Fi. Come on, man.
I know he left a mobile, so I stole his internet while he's gone. But yeah, you have the 15th pick with the Patriots, I believe. So at least the 49ers, you have that 3, you have the 12th spot. You 3 spots ahead. Come on, that's enough. If you're the Lions, you want to take that and then maybe some change. But here's the thing I'll think about. It's you're gonna take that 12, right? That's a starting point. Everyone's gonna start driving up the price because look, we have a month and a half before that trade can even be finalized. So at least then it's thinking at least 49ers could probably try to work. Maybe we use that 12 and some other picks to package up to get our rookie quarterback instead of Stafford. Now, I don't mind. I personally would love Stafford if it's just the 12. It depends what that kicker is going to be because right now that price is going to keep driving up. And the fact that Grant has sources telling him, hey, look, we're at the inside edge. So guess what? Everyone's going to – now the Lions are saying, hey, Niners have the lead. Drive that price up, everyone. So right now, I think it's going to take a lot more than that. And in that case, you might as well just use that to trade up.
Yeah, I don't have any inside intel telling me what the numbers are, what it's going to take, what kind of picks it is. I'm just guessing that it seems it's probably going to take a first and a second, kind of like what Jack's saying. And what Jack said is hopefully, ideally from the Niners perspective, the picks aren't in the same draft. And I'm going to take it one step further. Ideally from the Niners perspective, the first is next year and the second is this year. Because that 12th pick is valuable. And you're thinking if with Stafford next year and a little bit better luck with injuries, the Niners will be picking 27th, 28th, maybe 30th, 32nd. So, yeah, you definitely want to hold on to the 12th pick and trade next year's if possible. I almost feel like the 12th pick is a deal breaker. Like, that's really expensive for a quarterback who's going to be 33 in a week and has never won a playoff game. I feel like that you put that in there as a last resort. You hold on to that for dear life. Or are you guys cool? Are you guys saying, actually, I don't really mind? It's Stafford.
Well, I just don't see how the other teams, I think we're touching on it later for dark horses, but other teams wouldn't offer that with Washington being able to offer a first-round pick this year as a team that made the playoffs, and Indianapolis especially, who with a proper quarterback would be maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but a heavy favorite in the AFC and the top 3 among the AFC with their defense. So they must be really undervaluing Stafford if the Niners 2022 first-round pick is the best offer Detroit can get.
Yeah. All right, I got a bonus question from Chris Royal saying if you had to put a percentage on it, what would the Niners' chances of winning a Super Bowl with Stafford be behind center? That's a good question. Why don't we go around and do it?
Oh, percentage on it. Well, let's see. What is it? What was it with Garoppolo entering? I said it was probably like 40, sitting around there. I say with Stafford, it goes up to at least 60. No, like at least 60 or 70, just because now it's just so much that he unlocks. The same thing that I talked about for Brady, but I'll just keep on to the one that resonates with me the most. Yep, Stafford back there, no more loaded boxes. Now all of a sudden, hey, Mostert, you're not going to get beat up against like 9 guys that are like, hey, I know which way you're going. You're going left on that stretch run, aren't you? Or even Wilson. Now Wilson's going to have more breakout numbers, and or even Hasty now if you want to spell him in there. Now that all of a sudden that running game becomes effective again, like it did in 2019, and then you have a better passer. And especially you're going to need a better passer because that defense is not going to be the same as 2019, or I don't even expect them to be the same as 2020. So with that quarterback, I think you drastically improve your chances by at least 20, 25%, maybe even more.
Oh, that was a quick transition.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah. That was your best one, I think. I ruined it by acknowledging it, but
A+.
I think Stafford would increase the Super Bowl odds definitely just by having a quarterback that I think most people are comfortable with behind center, but they do need to improve the offensive line somehow. Otherwise, it's Daniel Brunskill is the second best offensive lineman on that line, and I think they need to improve that just to help that. And Stafford is definitely good, but if they have to give up 2 picks and that sacrifice is helping the cornerback situation and the offensive line, I think Stafford would really have to be that good Stafford we've seen at a lot of times, and that would help, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like what Jose says, probably in that 60 to 70 range. Wouldn't really go a whole lot higher than that. But even if you'd put Matt Stafford on the 2020 version of the 49ers, they would have been probably playing in Green Bay in the second round of the playoffs. Yeah. Because they would have made it there, and they might have even had a really good chance of contending in that game, just because of the way that their defense can play against Aaron Rodgers. So definitely in that 60 to 70 range, and definitely that's where I would go with it.
Okay, well, I think it depends a little bit on how long is he going to be on the team? Are they going to extend him or not? Does he have a 2-year window to win the Super Bowl or not? Because next year, I think it's going to be tough for the Niners to win a Super Bowl with the first year with Stafford. You still got to go against Brady. You still got to go against Rodgers potentially. They may not even be one of the top 2 teams in the NFC. But then in 2022, Brady will be like 71, and you might have a better chance to get him then. I think I don't know, odds go up the longer he's here, but I still wonder if it's a big step up, but not enough. There's Deshaun Watson's going to be relocating next year. He could make a super team somewhere. He's still relatively cheap. So I don't expect the Niners to win the Super Bowl next year, but could they win it with Stafford down the line? Absolutely. Good question.
Do you think does anyone think Tampa will be as consistent or like as good next year with the defensive free agents they have? Because Shaq Barrett, Levante David, and Ndamukong Suh, and then are all free agents, and then obviously Gronk on the offensive side. So
they'll still be great. They'll still be great because they got Todd Bowles.
Yeah, and they got Tom Brady. They're going to be really good, but it's a good point. They're going to be losing a lot of people. That's important. All right, let's segue into another Stafford topic. Should the Niners extend Stafford's deal if they get him? Or do you just want 2 years of Stafford and then move on to someone else? Is he the franchise guy or is he the bridge? What is he?
I think that they should go ahead and extend him when he comes in. I would say, you want to give him another year or 2. They might, and by doing that, they might be able to even lower his cap number further in future years because they're going to be basically paying him up front as well. And if they can do that, that really would help them with building the team over the long period of time. And so, yeah, I would say give him another 1 or 2 years and try to keep it right around that $20 million range if possible. 20. Actually, I had written down about 25 to 27. If you can keep it in that range, I think he'd be really good.
If they trade a 1 and 2 twos for him or a 1 in this year's 2, then I think they have to extend him just because there's no way to secure a replacement, at least a young replacement on the roster. They would then be in the same market 2 years from now trying to get a quarterback with a draft pick. So if they feel comfortable giving up 3 picks for him, I think they have to re-sign him.
Good point.
Mav stole my point. God damn you. Come on. Yeah. No, that's perfect. If you're gonna give up that 12th round pick, it's like, all right, you have to extend them because it's like, hey, we just gave up a pretty hefty pick, a pick that they're probably not going to be top 15 for at least initially a few years with Stafford. And you're not going to extend him or keep him for at least like some type of length. At least that way you can prop up the next future quarterback. Because if they get a replacement, foreshadowing. They extend him. They extend him for that 12th round pick, especially if you're throwing in some little kickers in there. I just don't see why they wouldn't do it. It just wouldn't make sense. It's like, hey, we got a rental for 2 years for the 12th round pick. It's
really definitely in the Niners' interest to extend his contract. It's financially in their interest. It's secure. It makes it more palatable to give up those picks. Yes, absolutely. The Niners should go to him. Pallack should have it ready. But then the way I look at it is, it may not be in Stafford's interest to sign that contract. For a lot of reasons. One, it's California. His money doesn't go as far here. He would get about 13% less because of the California state taxes if he played here than if he played in Houston or somewhere in Texas. So I don't know if he's sold on it. Like, he might want to come here, see how things go, see how he feels about Northern California and the taxes and the particular politics out here and see how it goes. Or he may be really pumped to play for Kyle Shanahan and play with George Kittle and all these guys. It could go either way. But I feel like if there's any resistance to the extension, it comes from Stafford's side, not the Niners side.
Yeah, it really depends on what he values. Like, do you want to win, or like how much is living conditions that much heavy on you? Like, just pretty much how it comes to his priorities, essentially, which you would think at his age and like a little bit teetering towards. Not he's injury prone. I'm not getting into that, but he has a little bit of injuries the last couple of years that maybe now's the time to win, and no better team to do it than Kyle Shanahan and a pretty stacked squad. Or
he could look at it like, let me go to the Niners real quick for 2 years, try to win a Super Bowl, and then at 35, go home. Go back to this. I don't know. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that would be the only way an extension didn't happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, from the 49ers perspective, I'd almost think you're going to want to have an extension hammered out before you make the trade. I mean, they've been burned the last two off seasons, or the trades that they made. When they brought in Sanders, they lost draft picks and they weren't able to re-sign him. Williams, that one isn't looking really promising there with them being able to bring him back. And you don't want to keep losing draft picks for guys, especially like the other guys have said with a first-round pick.
And the Niners are really good at backloading these deals. Like, look what they did with Armstead. Armstead will be expensive in a couple of years, but in 2020 and 2021, he was like, his cap number was $6 million, and then this year it's going to be $12 million. So if the Niners could do something like that with Stafford, where his average is like, I don't know, 25, 26 million a year, but the first 2 years he's way under market value, that would be really convenient considering the cap just went down. So yeah, it definitely is in the Niners' interest. Let's say the Niners get Stafford. Should they still draft a quarterback? We all say they should extend him. So does that mean that they're no longer in the market to draft and develop a quarterback if they get this guy?
Well, it depends who falls in like those mid-round picks. This is a little bit when I'm barely starting to get into it. Why I kind of hate just everyone's talking about Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey, all this stuff. Like, those 5 quarterbacks. But what about the next 5 to 10 after, or 5 to 12? I'm curious about those because I still see the 49ers going for like a 3rd or 4th round pick. They just got thrown a 3rd round pick for Robert Saleh. Maybe they just take a flyer on a quarterback that he could see. Like, hey, let's see if we can poach some potential. And if not, he's a backup for the years to come. But yeah, if they definitely get Stafford and somehow, some way they do extend him, then there's no pressing matter to get a quarterback this year.
I've been saying that for a couple months now. They need to get that developmental guy. If they don't go first couple rounds, they got to go late in the draft to take on that Nick Mullins role that he's had in the past, CJ Beathard, where you have that guy that you're going to groom over the next couple of years. And at worst case, he's a good franchise backup. Best case, he can maybe be the guy that takes over for Stafford in 2 years. You want to get that guy. I know a lot of people like Jamie Newman. He might even be too early for the Niners to consider that. But I think they need a developmental guy. No more wasting snaps with Brock Ruder and Wilton Spate and all those players. They need to go get a guy to develop as their 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with everybody else. Even if they get Stafford, they definitely have to go after a quarterback. If they can get somebody even as high as the 3rd round that they can get and develop, that would be the direction that I would go. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Trask out of Florida and some of these other folks and see kind of how far they drop. But I would like to see them get a quarterback this draft for sure.
Yeah, I think you draft a quarterback every year. You don't know what the future is with any of these quarterbacks on the roster. Just having Stafford is great, but you should draft a quarterback every year. And the mid-round guys are where you're looking. As Jack mentioned, Kyle Trask has been my guy. And the fact that He ended the season on a down note. He's injured. He missed the Senior Bowl. It's looking like you could probably get him in round 3, if not round 4, which is good news to me because it doesn't change the way I look at him. It just changes where you can get him. So if the Niners could get Kyle Trask and put him behind Matthew Stafford, beautiful. I would absolutely recommend that. John, if you're watching, Kyle, if you're watching, it's a great plan because you definitely want a good backup because look, as good as Matthew Stafford is, you still have Mike McGlinchey out there. You still got Laken Tomlinson out there. You can't take that backup quarterback position for granted.
Yeah, that third round comp pick would be a great spot for
It would. All right. If the Niners get Matthew Stafford and keep the 12th pick, which has been rumored that they're trying to do, they trade next year's first. Who should they take with that 12th pick?
I'm going to go ahead and jump out and, basically off the article that I wrote today. And I know it's a little bit of a long shot, but the more that I look at this Kyle Pitts from Florida, if they can pick him up at 12, that would be the way that I'd go. You're going to be losing Juszczyk this year. Who knows what they really don't seem like they're sold on Ross Bully as their second tight end. And by bringing in another playmaker to this offense, they really need to have that guy that can move around the formation. And that's maybe a little bit something that people aren't thinking about, but that would definitely be a move that would help this offense out moving forward into 2021 and down the line.
If the 49ers can get Stafford without trading the 12th pick, John Lynch deserves Executive of the Year for that alone. So the year for the 49ers is quickly turning from unlucky to very lucky. So I think there will be a lot of players there that they can consider at 12. But if they have Stafford, I think they should go offensive line if one of those top tackles are there, or Slater, who I know is projected as a guard. And I know Horatio loves J.C. Horn, so J.C. Horn is a guy I like too at cornerback, especially if they're unable to re-sign Jason Verrett. I think Horn would pair with Emmanuel Mosley and make a decent defensive backfield.
Yeah, or somehow, some way, if Sutton falls down there. But yeah, I agree 100% with these guys. You got to go offensive lineman. You got to consider cornerback, a DB. And those are the top two, really, aside from quarterback. It's not anything else. I mean, center, I feel like they're going to address that in free agency with like Alex Mack or someone. And then if somehow, some way you get to keep Trent Williams, and it's just, it seems obvious to me that you have to go offensive line because how many times all of us just hammer away at this offensive line, just the inconsistencies. And even though it's just a couple of highlight plays, like, that's a little more than a couple of highlight plays. The same thing with the cornerback position. There's just too much unknown. There's not enough guarantees. And even though it's not many of them are going to cost much, like say Akil Witherspoon comes back for whatever reason, they still need more. They still need someone to develop. They finally need to look for someone for a high value pick in the secondary, or if not, it's never wrong to solidify your offensive line, which they definitely need. Yeah,
I love the idea of drafting Kyle Pitts. I've watched a lot of Kyle Pitts. He's great. I mean, I look at him and think he could be a Hall of Fame player. There's nothing he can't do. And he would make the Niners offense so much better, but I still feel like they have two serious holes that must be addressed. And if they address them in free agency, then you can go ahead and get Pitts. But right now, I don't think I could take Pitts on this team ahead of Slater and Horn. The cornerback Horn, I think, is perfect for what the Niners need. Even if they bring back Verrett, they need a bigger corner to pair him with a guy who can cover DK Metcalf. Horn can do that. Slater, you could play him at right guard, and if Mike McGlinchey continues to diet himself out of the league, you can move him to right tackle. That's a nice plan B right there. But if you can handle those two positions in free agency, getting Pitts would be the ultimate power move. My God. And I don't think I would spend a first-round pick on a wide receiver because they're replaceable. You can get good ones in the second round, and they become expensive on their second deal. But tight ends, first of all, they dominate the league if they're good. No one can stop them. You can't take them out over the middle the way you could 40 years ago. And they're cheap when they get to their second deal. Like George Kittle broke records. He's still like 7% of the Niners cap. That's great for George Kittle. So actually, a tight end in round one is a very shrewd modern day investment. I just think the Niners have some serious weaknesses they got to address before they can go there. It's not a luxury pick. It's just not a need. I like Ross Dwelly. I don't care what the Niners think. I like Ross.
Didn't Hawkinson and Font just get taken first, second, 3 years ago?
There's nothing wrong with taking a tight end in my opinion.
They're good. You don't take them. No question of position if they're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Stafford's actually had 2 tight ends in the top 15, right? Because Ebron, I think, was a top 10 pick, and then Hawkinson. So he likes his tight ends.
Yeah. I was just going to say a number of these guys that we've talked about are guys that they could really probably even trade down from number 12 to pick up additional picks.
That's the best move. That's the best move.
You know, and definitely, cornerback's going to be a spot they have to go. But one of the guys that I've liked watching so far through the Senior Bowl has been the guy out of Cal, Cam Bynum, 6 foot. He's really good. He didn't play this year because he opted out, but he's definitely a guy that could come in, maybe again that 3rd to 5th round, and he seems to have the size that fits with what the Niners are looking for.
I remember watching him last year when I was scouting Ayuk. And that guy shut him down. He shut down Ayuk in that game. Ayuk was a terrific player. Bynum's good. Good call. Good call. I forgot about him. That's from last year's scouting. All right. If there's a dark horse team competing with the 49ers to trade for Stafford, who might it be? Just based off of your knowledge of the league. Guessing.
Oh, off the top of my head, I'm just going to throw it in the wall just because it's dark horse. Why not the Houston Texans? Just because. Why not? Nothing over there is making sense right now as it is. And it seems maybe they are going to trade Deshaun Watson. I mean, it's not going to be the 49ers. Maybe it's going to be Miami. Maybe it's going to be who knows what team. But I could definitely see them just be like, what do we know? Let's just get Matthew Stafford. Come on. And then they got a passing game coordinator for a head coach. So maybe they just inquire, just drop it in, because anything that team does, there's no logical sense. There's no structure. Even their head coach hire was a head scratcher. Like, who is this guy? Who's it? Ducky, Deli, whoever his name is? I don't know. I don't even know. That's one dark horse team because they're just kind of dysfunctional. Not kind of, they are dysfunctional.
I think Carolina and Denver are both teams that would be able to outbid the 49ers just because their pick is better if they do trade that first-round pick. And I think they're dark horses alongside Washington just because they have that playoff defense. They just needed a quarterback to throw the ball to Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, and I think their offense would go to another level.
Yeah, when I was looking at this, and thinking about this question, really what it was who will be picking ahead of the 49ers ahead of 12. So for me, it would be somebody like maybe Miami would be able to pull that off, or the Jets, one of those two teams. And the reason for that is they both have guys that they could trade, quarterbacks that they could trade that are going to be on rookie deals that are going to be low cost, that aren't, especially Darnold he wouldn't be a bad trade-off for the Lions, and be able to, that's a really good fit. If Stafford's going to be a good fit with the 49ers, he's definitely going to be a good fit with the Jets. So that would be that's where I would look.
Those are great. Those are great ones. I like that you guys went with the spirit of this and named some dark horses. I'm going to name a dark horse. Like, you can't even see him. Pitch black. Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm going to go with the same logic that Jose used. He went to high school in Dallas. He's from Texas. He could go back home. Dallas doesn't seem that enthralled with committing themselves long-term to Dak Prescott. They might really like Matthew Stafford. He might really like them. They're a much better organization than Houston. They're a much better team than Houston. They have the 10th pick in the draft, and the Niners have the 12th pick. They haven't been connected to Stafford at all. But if they want him, they could kind of come out of left field and get him, I think. And I think he might be open to it.
And McCarthy might support it if Jerry Jones throws it out because, hey, I've seen this guy for 8 years or however long he's out there. It's like, I've seen him. Let me coach him up. Let me ruin him like I ruined Rodgers.
Good point. So Dallas is my dark horse.
How much do you think Dak would get then? Like for a franchise trade, Dak would get at least 2 ones, you think?
Probably. What do you think?
Franchise trade, 2 wins, yeah. Probably. 2, especially because of the way the market's going for Watson, that they're going to have to be like, oh, come on.
I still think the Niners are going to get Stafford. Let me be clear. I'm just saying, if there is a dark horse team, I think it might be Dallas. No, but I don't know that they're even going to make a move like this. They might. I mean, Dak is better than Stafford. So really, they should work it out with Dak. Right? I'm just saying. All right. Another Stafford question. If the Niners get Matthew Stafford, should they still regret not getting Tom Brady? This is the last Stafford question, I promise.
Liar. I took a look at the pamphlet. You said nothing, only Stafford.
I changed that question up quite a bit from what I was prepared for.
Sorry.
But I'm going to say that if they can get Stafford, to know they're not going to regret getting Tom Brady. Well, hold on. Let me go back. I'm going to disagree with myself. I'm going to say, you're still going to regret not getting Tom Brady because you're likely having to give up your first round draft pick this year instead of being able to just pick up Brady as a free agent. So I'm going to go with yes. They would still regret that. To
a degree, because I mean, buyer's remorse, I guess, or whatever. Buccaneers made the Super Bowl. The Niners can believe that they would have made it if Brady was there. I know the injuries kind of derailed that possibility, but having Brady would have changed this offense, I think, this season. But Stafford is a good consolation prize, I think. And if they're able to get Stafford for 4 or 5 more years, unless Brady plays till he's 70, like you said, Grant, I think they would have Stafford for a long term compared to Brady for maybe 1 or 2 more years after this. And if the injuries were happening, then this year with Brady possibly could have been wasted. So maybe it's a long-term move. But like Jack said, that first-round pick hurts a lot. And I think that does change the ultimate answer after that.
Yeah, but with Brady, at least, like, how long are you actually going to be in the Super Bowl window for? At least now you knew you had it last year in 2019. 2020 was there, but until injuries messed you up. And you would assume 2021 is still there because there's still going to be a nice core there that you can work with. So, yes, they should regret passing on Tom Brady. I mean, not only that, they should really look in the mirror and what they're doing with quarterbacks. You know, you just passed on 2017 because you wanted Kirk Cousins. You let Tom Brady, the GOAT, pass you by. And free agency, we didn't have to do him for nothing. So, a little bit, Mav says buyer's remorse. I think they should really kick themselves and be like, we could have just paid the GOAT versus now we got to give up a draft pick for a guy. And although it's better long-term wise, which I think probably that's what they want because they like longevity. And that's what I think they ended up with choosing Garoppolo over Brady because they view long-term more than just, you know, the 1 to 2, 3 year type deal. But still, I think they got to kick themselves. Stafford's, I guess, like maybe like a little bit like a nice little sweet kicker. I'm not saying I wouldn't appreciate watching him because that offense is going to soar, but just seeing what we just all saw, guys, in 2020, had they had a competent quarterback, someone like Brady, that offense would have changed magnificently. And I think half the injuries do not occur if he's there.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's very exciting, the idea of getting Matthew Stafford, but the team was close to winning it with Jimmy Garoppolo. He got him to the Super Bowl. And now Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl. He could have taken this team to the Super Bowl. He might win the Super Bowl. So that's the bar for Matthew Stafford. Doesn't matter how many yards he throws for, how many touchdowns he has. If he never brings the 49ers to the Super Bowl, they're going to regret not only passing on Tom Brady, but trading away Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, they're expecting that they're going to make it back to the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. But if they don't, then yeah, they'll absolutely regret it because say what you want about Tom Brady's age or his lack of mobility, he's always going to be in that NFC Championship game as long as he's playing. I mean, it's just, you can count on it. If they can't get that type of production and level of consistency from Stafford, they're going to regret it. I'm not saying they won't, but that's the bar. It's not about his stats. It's about how far he takes the team because Jimmy, he didn't take it, but they were able to go as far as they did with him. So they better be able to do the same with Stafford. Fair?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's the most money the Niners should offer Trent Williams in free agency?
They should cut Grant Cohn and give him his contract.
That's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done.
Well, I think we've all discussed this a little bit minorly in the last month. What is it? It's pretty much you want to look at what Bakhtiari's contract, but in a way because Williams is hurt. I mean, excuse me, not hurt. He is older. What is he, like 32? Going to be 33 in 2021. So what are you going to look at for like just chop off by 3 annually wise? I don't know off the top of my head how much the total was, but or even guarantees was off the top of my head. But I just remember the annual salary was looking about like 23 million, I believe, for Bakhtiari.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So if you're looking for Trent Williams, if someone offers him like a 20, that's 20 or 19, and then depending on what the guarantees look like, then I think it's looking like right there and there, like 19 to 20 range, potentially even more. Because I will never put past one crazy team of free agency that's just like, here, take my money, just like here, because it always is. Most of the time there is. So I feel like a good price range would be like 19, 20. But it's going to be tough because you do that. Then what are you looking at here with Verrett, other free agents? And that's why we always talking about Garoppolo's contract. It's like, hey, they're kind of like capping what they can do with Williams and others. So, 20 would be maybe the most, but that's still tough considering his age.
I just think things changed with Trent Williams because coming into this season, I thought it was almost a lock the 49ers re-sign him just because the way he sat out in Washington. I figured, he'll only want to play for Kyle Shanahan, so they kind of will get him at a discount for the rest of his career. But then things changed this season, and now I think minimum, if they want to get him back, they'll have to offer 21, 22 annually, like average, what Jose was saying. So I think that's a big thing. They got to get Trent Williams back. But if he is asking for 24, you got to let him walk because that just is too much to commit to one guy at left tackle where it is a premium position, but the trade-off, I think, is not worth the $24 million.
Oh,
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say that I'm going to go somewhere probably in that 17 to 20, not even 20, 17 to 19 million is where you'd like to be with Williams at the top of the line there. It just, he's old. He hasn't played a full season, I think, in his last 4 years. And going to higher than that, it's really going to hurt them in other areas. And I think there's some other guys that they might be able to get, at least one other guy that they might be able to get that would provide the similar level of play to what they received when they went to the Super Bowl. But we'll get that on the next question.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good, but if he's going to get $24 million a year, that's what he's going to get. He's going to hit unrestricted free agency, and he's going to get more money than David Bakhtiari got. And I don't really want to pay an offensive tackle $24 million a year. I don't really want to spend that much on a quarterback. He's not at that price range. He's going to be consistently making like 10.5% of your salary cap space. He's a tackle. He's an offensive lineman. I just think that's too much. You don't have to spend a tenth of your salary cap space on a left tackle, even though he's very good. He's not. I think he's a little overstated what the Niners were getting. He's very good. He's not the greatest left tackle of all time. Maybe he was at one point. He's not anymore. So the most I would offer him, is what Jack said, 18, 19, and it's not going to get it done. So the Niners are in a very, very precarious situation. What are they going to do at left tackle? Now, they did trade a third-round pick, so maybe they'll feel like they're going to offer 20, 21 just because they already put in some draft capital. But if they lose them, they get a comp pick down the road, right? So they could get that back. It's kind of like what the Patriots did when they traded for Trent Brown and let him go. I wouldn't offer him too much. Let him go and make $24 million a year on Houston or Detroit, someone like that. Go have fun over there, dude. Well, I wouldn't do it.
Like his contract in the future too, especially if things are going wrong for the 49ers. If we want to add like piece to a weak area, then we're going to come back to this contract like, oh, look how nuts they were for giving him to this old Asian guy, all this stuff. And it just sounds like something that's going to bite them in the butt.
Are you saying aging or Asian?
Aging.
I was like, dude, you can't say that on this show. That's not fair. First of all, he's not Asian.
Obviously,
okay.
I was there. I was there. I saw him close up. Come on, man.
Dude, that is just not okay. This is 2021, Jose. All right.
Shut up, quality and control.
Let's move on. All right. Is there another left tackle the 49ers should sign instead of Trent Williams? Or instead of sign, acquire?
Well, I'm going to go the sign route, and I'm going to steal somebody that you mentioned already, Grant. I was looking at who the options are in free agency, and the one that jumps out, you mentioned this guy a few weeks ago. I don't know if people remember, but it's Alejandro Villanueva out of Pittsburgh. This guy, he's going to be 33. He's only a year younger than Trent Williams, but he has a lot less tread on his tires. He's only played in 96 games through the course of his career, partly because of that tour of duty they did with the Army Rangers before he got started in the NFL. So the other thing with Villanueva, he started every game for the last 5 years for Pittsburgh. They're going to lose a little bit of that road grader type of left tackle that the 49ers have right now, but I think Villanueva is going to be just as good as Williams at pass protection, or could be. He was a tight end when he started his career at Army, and that sounds very familiar to Joe Staley, what we saw with Joe Staley when he came through, I think it was Central Michigan. So that's the direction that I would go. I think you could probably get him for about, right now his contract was, I think, $6 million per year. So you might be able to get a guy like Villanueva for 10 to 12, which is a much better deal for the 49ers overall. If you can get him for 2 to 3 years, you're getting a guy that's been healthy and has played at a Pro Bowl level.
I like that answer.
Yeah, Villanueva, I think, is the top free agent outside of Trent Williams and would definitely be cheaper. But my guy, and this is way outside the box and probably won't happen, but the Saints are facing a huge salary cap crunch in 2021. I think they're 90 under or 90 over, so that's tough. What's stopping them from? They have a solid offensive line. Asking about Terran Armstead for a third-round pick, similar to what Trent Williams had trade was. He's very good offensive tackle, but he's been hurt a couple times, and they got to free up salary cap. They invested in their offensive line last year on the interior. Maybe they'll go that route in the draft again with a tackle, and they could shed some salary cap, and the Niners could get a left tackle for the next couple of years.
That was good. Good answer.
They need to convince and woo Joe Staley out of retirement. Make Joe Staley, bring him back at left tackle. He's the same weight as Mike McGlinchey, but better technique. It is going to work out at left tackle if you bring him back. At the very least, he will be able to tell Mike McGlinchey, what are you doing? Get your ass back there. He's going to get in his face. He's going to get in everyone's face. Bring Joe Staley back to left tackle.
I like that answer. I don't think there's enough money in the world. I think Joe Staley's like, look, that's not my problem anymore. Chris Royal said it, and I like this. I'm just going to throw it out there as an outside the box answer. Trade Bosa to move into the top 5 and draft Penei Sewell. Use next year's 1 and mid-round against Stafford. Possible. I kind of like this idea because the way I'm looking at Bosa is hell of a player. I don't want to give him a second contract for a lot of reasons. The injury and the price. He's going to get quarterback money. He's going to get more than Matthew Stafford. He's going to get
salary cap hostage.
Crazy. And the injuries. So I'm looking to trade him anyway. And if you could trade him to the Jets right now, Robert Saleh, who coached him before, get the number 2 pick, move back 3 spots, get Sewell at 5 and an edge rusher with the other pick that you get, or edge rusher in round 2. I like that because Sewell looks like the kind of offensive lineman that I would want on my team for 15 years. Sewell looks like the kind of guy you'd want to give 4 contracts to. He looks like a better player than Trent Williams ever was. That guy looks special. And even though he's not an edge rusher, he plays maybe this a position that's just as important or almost as important. So that's it. That's one way you could do it. Sewell. I don't know.
No, that's a nice
What do you
toss-up
think,
right there.
Oregon Duck? Is it crazy?
I like the last sentence there in that question, but I think trading Bosa, you better get more than 1 first-round pick, in my opinion, for him because he'll probably need a new contract before that 5th year, but you have at least 2 years with him.
Cost control.
Cheap salary, and he's a game wrecker, but Penei Sewell is a very good left tackle, and he's probably the only person in this draft I would even consider that, but I wouldn't trade Bosa for that.
He went to Oregon, and he doesn't want Penei. So you heard
Penei Sewell is very, very good, but
Maverick says he's overrated. That's what he said. Okay.
Wow. Mr. Oregon's man of mystery here.
All right. Moving on. The Steelers might cut Ben Roethlisberger. That's been reported today. They're in salary. A lot of these teams are in salary cap hell. Should the Niners have any interest at a cheap price? And the premise here is that you don't have to trade for him. He might be real cheap if he doesn't straight up retire. Any interest?
No. Let me say that in Spanish. No. What the? Come on, man.
Okay. All right. You get your answer.
What? What are we talking about here? Go on, Maverick, man.
Okay, Maverick, give a good answer.
I don't see what Ben Roethlisberger would do better than Jimmy Garoppolo on this team. I guess
grow a beard.
Yeah, cheaper salary. He's less mobile than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think the only benefit is he gets rid of the ball faster than Garoppolo and Mullins, but that's because he throws. He had the shortest time to throw. I wouldn't consider this at all.
At all.
Yeah, I agree with the other 2 guys, and I'm gonna kind of go a little bit further with Jose and try my Spanish out. I'm gonna say, Diablos no.
Clap it up. Clap it up.
I don't even speak Spanish, and I know exactly what you said. Yeah. Look, didn't he look like a guy who needs to retire? He should retire, right?
Nick Mullins is better.
He looked bad in that playoff game. I think he needs to retire. I think who would sign that guy? I mean, Indy? No. What team would he start for next year?
The Berlin Thunder.
No, yeah, he's done. I actually would be more interested in Phillip Rivers than Roth. I thought Rivers played a lot better in that playoff round. I mean, in these playoffs than Roethlisberger did, and Rivers hung it up. So Roethlisberger, take a hint. Yeah, good question. That was Tony's question. I'm blaming him for that one. All right. Yeah. Should the Niners use any of their free agent budget on a wide receiver?
I don't think so. I took a look at that a little bit, and I don't, looking at it, I know that I had mentioned Samuels as being an option, but really we talked about luxury when earlier on we were talking about Kyle Pitts and that kind of thing at tight end, and taking a guy like Samuels or even some of the other folks that are out there in free agency is a little bit of a luxury. The 49ers have a pretty good group coming back. They're going to have Richie James still back. Got to see what Juwan Jennings can provide, and Travis Benjamin is going to be, he had opted out for 2020, so he's going to be coming back too. So I think they're pretty well set there. So if they're going to go with anybody, it's going to be on the lower end type of guy to come in and fill in.
100% agree. I think they got to use their free agent assets to re-sign Fred Warner on that extension before he gets into a Trent Williams scenario. And then if they aren't going Trent Williams, then they probably do have to do a trade for a bigger money left tackle or get Villanueva, like Jack said. So that kind of takes away a lot of that money. And who knows? They need a center. Weston Roethlisberger probably won't be on the team next year. So that means more money for Corey Linsley or Alex Mack. So I think they have much more pressing needs that they have to take care of before they look at wide receiver.
Wide receiver? Really? You're talking about wide receiver and budget? Two positions that we should not talk about adding here on the San Francisco, Santa Clara 49ers. Wide receiver, linebacker, and probably even safety. Anything else you want to entertain? Sure, buddy. Come on. You're not going to put free agent budget. I'm not going to say unless, that's a cheap deal. Cheap deals happen all the time with teams. I don't care. They're not going to sign. No, do not go after a Curtis Samuel like when Nick Newman wants to go after. Oh, if the price is right. The price is not going to be right. That guy's going to get probably loaded up in free agency. No wide receiver, please. You made Richie James look good. Finally use him as a third receiver because that's the most you're going to use is just 3 wide receiver sets, 11 personnel at best, which don't even use. You have a bunch of tight ends you could probably use. Running game's going to be fine. No. Work on center. Work on offensive line. Another corner. Do something.
The price is wrong.
The price is mediocre.
The price is wrong. Okay. No. Yeah, we all agree. But I'm not against them drafting a wide receiver. Drafting a wide receiver is cool, even if you don't have a wide receiver need, because they're going to have wide receiver needs. I'm not excited about giving Deebo Samuel a second contract. He has a lot to prove in terms of durability. And I don't know if he's going to prove it. Even Brandon Ayuk, I kind of like the idea of drafting wide receivers, developing them, and then letting them go, and then continuing the process. It's what the Steelers do. Now, the Bills, did they trade for Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, they trade their one.
That was a good move, but he's not expensive. I mean, he's costing them like 5% of their cap. He's not a big expenditure. No, I don't think they should be spending money on wide. You should be drafting wide receiver. They should be looking in that round 2, round 3 area, not trying to give Kendrick Bourne or someone like that $5-6 million. No. So yeah, we agree on that. But I did see earlier today this guy who's I had on the show a couple of weeks ago, Coffees for Closers. He's the quarterback guru, Brett. He released his first Niners mock draft of the year today. Oh. He had Kadarius Toney to the Niners in round 2, which is like exactly what you kind of want. You know, a guy in that range with that kind of skill set. Again, they might need to draft another position ahead of that, but that kind of player at that kind of spot in the draft is what you want to do every year, basically.
Not bad.
They do have to go receiver at some point in the draft, I think, because they need a punt returner and kick returner. Richie James was fumbling a lot, and I think they got to move on from that experiment. If they want to use him on offense, fine. He looked good there. But they got to find
Tony's that guy. Tony's that guy.
Yeah, so then that would fill that need because unless they're going to suddenly put Ayuk there, they don't have a punt returner.
All right, 2 more questions. First one, should the 49ers re-sign Nick Mullins? He's a restricted free agent. He did not need Tommy John surgery. He reportedly will be healthy and ready for training camp. Should the Niners re-sign him?
I mean, they're going to be able to, right? He's restricted. So, I mean, it's like, hey, pretty much like half the work's already done. I mean, not unless someone really wants to, stick their arm out just for Nick Mullins coming off that shoulder injury, shoulder surgery. I can't even say that right. What the heck? But yeah, I mean, bring him back. Personally, to me, I don't care who the backup quarterback is, because if you're relying on as many starts as you did a backup quarterback the 49ers did, you're going to lose. It's just the reality, man. I don't care about, Nick Foles went to the Super Bowl like that. Backup quarterback, come on. I'm not into that. If you're relying on your backup quarterback, if you're having this many questions about it, you're in a really bad position right now.
I think if they get Stafford, then the Mullins return seems more likely because you get an experienced guy and then you also draft a guy late in the draft to be the developmental guy. So in a game, if Stafford goes down, then Mullins comes in and your season's already pretty much in trouble already if Stafford goes down. So the backup quarterback situation becomes different. But Mullins on a rather cheap deal, I think is worth it because he's a decent backup. I don't think anyone thinks that he's a top 32 guy anymore. I think maybe preseason he was. But that situation has kind of changed. So then you get Stafford and a reliable backup that knows the system. But if you go for a rookie, then I think you got to get a better backup to be that second guy.
Way to build up your case, Maverick Mullins.
Yeah, I wrote about this on Monday in my series on the, with our keeper release guys, and I started off with the quarterbacks. And Mullins, if and at the time, I wasn't known that he wasn't going to need Tommy John surgery. But knowing that now, and even then I wrote that they should keep him. And definitely now that we know that he's going to be ready to come the training camp. And the main reason for that is because of his knowledge of the system and his ability to help get other guys up to speed and be, a semi-coach in that room as well. So that would definitely be a big move. And I think with Scangarello coming back between him and Mullins, they're definitely going to be able to get any of the new guys that come in up to speed pretty quick. And it'd be fun to watch Mullins and Rosen, kind of battle it out for that third spot on the roster.
Yeah, I think they should re-sign Mullins because, if they trade for Stafford, Nick Mullins will become his best friend, or should be, because that's the guy who's going to teach Matthew Stafford the offense. Along with Rich Scangarello and Kyle Shanahan. But really, that'll be Matthew Stafford's best friend. Any quarterback that they draft, that's also going to be Nick Mullins' best friend. They're going to need him at least for 1 year to be the teacher in the meeting room. I don't know what you want to call it, but I think there's a use for him. And I still think that there might be something there, even though he played poorly this year. So yeah, bring him back, pick up the restricted tender, give him a 1 year deal, and draft a quarterback and trade for Stafford. Now you got 3 guys, and you can see what you have in 2022. That's what I think they will do. I think so. Will do. Final topic. A cheap defensive tackle the Niners should sign. They're going to be losing DJ Jones, presumably. Is there anyone else that they could get on the cheap, considering there could be a lot of cap casualties this year?
Good.
Yeah, I don't know how cheap this guy's going to come based off of his production the last couple of years, but I had wrote down Larry Ogunjobi from the Browns. He's a defensive tackle there. He's been really productive over the last few years. I think he's got 14 and a half sacks, 13 of those coming in the last 3 years. And he's been really productive in tackles as well, right around 50, averaging about 50 per year. So, if they could bring him in somewhere around $2 million, that'd be great. But I think that's it might be a little bit of a stretch for somebody with that kind of productivity in the middle.
I've been looking at this because I'm writing about it later. Just looking at James, is it Bechter? Is that how you pronounce the last name for the?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Bechter.
The new defensive senior assistant, and I've been looking at his guys from the last couple of years when he was the Cardinals DC and the Giants DC, and that brought me to Xavier Williams, who was with him when he was on the Cardinals, and he'll be under $1 million, I think. Damian Snack Harrison, who was on the Packers and Seahawks as a nose tackle, he'd be under $1 million as well, and because he hasn't been playing a lot lately in the last couple of years, and he would take that DJ Jones 1st and 10 run stuffer role. And then my last guy is Roy Robertson Harris from the Bears. He's kind of that Eric Armstead hybrid. He's 6'6", and I think that would really change the pass rush downs where you would have Armstead and Robertson Harris in the middle and Bosa on the outside, and 2 6'6" plus defensive tackles rushing 5'10" Kyler Murray and 5'11" Russell Wilson kind of changes the defense, I think.
I think a player who could be kind of cheap, although if some teams are actually paying attention to him, would be defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins from the Raiders. He's not bad to get those early downs and the run stuff. He's actually affects both aspects. Then again, you're talking about the Raiders here. They don't have anyone else on the defensive line, but the fact that he can still stand out and you put him in the role that the 49ers would use him in, it wouldn't be a bad value at all. You don't need him to be every down. You don't need to be just, hey, we need to do pass rusher. You need to stuff the run. It wouldn't be bad at all. And just to see him with Chris Kasarik and the way they can configure a way to make him fit, that'd be very interesting to see for sure.
Every name you guys have said, I've put into over the cap right here, and they've given a estimation of what that guy's worth, and they've put him at over $5 million. Every Hankins, they have it over $5 million. Puda Ford, no one said, and they had him at $9 million. So I'm looking at DJ Jones, they have him at $2 million. To me, I wouldn't pay any more than whatever DJ Jones is going to get. And he may get more than that, but if that's all he's going for, just bring him back. And if he gets $3 million, just roll with Kevin Givens. I really like Kevin Givens. I like Contavious Street. It's my show. And I'm going to say, I'm going to not answer this question. I'm going to say they better not sign a defensive tackle. They don't need to do that. You just bring back DJ Jones or just move on with Kevin Givens and Contavious Street. I know you guys are never allowed to do what I just did. It's a liberty I'm taking on my show. Sorry.
The guys I said they had over $5 million.
I did I didn't name in all the guys you named. You named a bunch of people I've never heard of. So I think you're probably good. But the guys you were naming, I was like, yeah, those are good names. Let me check out Ogunjobi real quick. Let me see what they say. I can't spell Ogunjobi, but maybe if I get the first. Yep, I got the first. Okay, let's see what they say. $4.9 million. I don't know, man. It's tough. So
another guy that
yeah.
that I'm going to throw out there that I don't think was going to be very popular, but would be Solomon Thomas. They might be able to keep him at a low deal. And part of the reason that I bring that name up is that was actually a name that Robert Saleh mentioned when they were talking to him after the season about, what happens how are you going to feel if you don't get a head coaching job? And he said, I'll be happy to come back and coach Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas and that defensive line. So
yeah,
who knows where that goes, but that could be somebody they bring back. They seem to be.
That's a good name. That's a good name, actually, because that's in the spirit of the question. I think you could probably get him for like $700,000, something like that. So that works. That fits. I probably would just save the $700,000, but it's not my money. So I don't know. We're out of topics. We did this in a brief 47 minutes. It was a good pace. We moved well. All right, now we're done. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be back on at 3:00 with a new guy, Coach Noah Johnston. You may have seen him on Twitter. Hang around. We'll be back in an hour. See you then.